So welcome everyone. Today is September 3rd and we will be starting off with our Layer5's community meeting. So
hello.
I'm sharing the meeting minutes. Please drop down your names over here so that we can count your attendance. Yep.
Good. As a housekeeping item, it looks like we've got the meeting minutes in the chat. So,
yep. So this week we have a lot of newcomers joining us, and today also we have some exciting announcements. So before that, we have some traditions to perform. So by tradition,
so very similar to network policy.
Okay, so by tradition, our newcomers who have joined this week should introduce themselves in this call so that the community gets to know you and vice versa. So any newcomers in the call who would like to introduce or say a hi to this call?
Yeah. Hello.
Hi.
Hello everyone. So my name is Nikhil. I'm currently a third year student, who is pursuing mathematics and computing from IIT. I've been doing development for about a year, and I've been working majorly with the MERN stack. Recently, when I saw Meshery on one of the sites, basically LFX, then I decided to contribute to Meshery, and I have seen that there is a part which is contributed in React and other backend in Django, backend in Go. So I have to contribute to both the projects. Currently, I'm learning Django for the sole purpose to upgrade my skill and contribute to Meshery.
Okay, so that's a great introduction. So anyone else would like to introduce themselves?
Yeah, may I go?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so my name is Snigdha Tiwari. Hi everyone. I'm from BITS Goa. I'm in my third year. I started web development in my first year only, but I didn't get a chance to get a few internships or work on personal projects because of my college life. And when lockdown started, I started working on a government project, made a website for the government, and moved forward with all the skills. I have mainly been working in React and Firebase as the backend. So I would love to contribute to projects related to that. Thank you.
Okay, that's to a great introduction. So hope you will all have a great time in this community. So anyone else would like to introduce?
Hello, I'm Aditya Raj, and I'm a third year engineering student from LNCT Bhopal, majoring in electronics and communication. I started coding since back like 1 or 2 years, and mostly till now I have done competitive programming, solving algorithmic problems. So now I decided to do some development work, and I came across open source projects. So I was exploring around, and I found Meshery community on LFX Foundation. So I joined here to learn and grow as a contributor in the community.
Okay.
yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. By the way, Aditya, we might have to call you Mr. Raj or something, just because there's a few Adityas out there.
Yes, sure, no problem.
Yeah. Okay. And depending upon how long you're around and things that you do, it might be Mr., it might be Captain, it might be, I'm not sure. Cool. But nice to have you. By the way, the first person that entered, I missed the first person that introduced, was that Himanshu Pandey? Yep, it was. Okay, good deal. Good deal.
Okay, so have I missed anyone? So anyone would else like to introduce? Okay, and if I have missed anyone, so we have to start off with the other topics. So if I have missed anyone, you can give your introduction in the chat box so that we get to know you. So now moving on to some exciting announcements that we are waiting for. So there we have a new Meshery maintainer, Rudraksh. We also know him by his catchy username, Delusional Optimist. So he's right now a new Meshery CI maintainer. So congratulations, Rudraksh, for that. Next, we have.
That is awesome. There might be something to being perpetually optimistic like that. That's paying off for Rudraksh. Rudraksh, there's a couple of newcomers on the call and some folks, who might follow in your footsteps. Any sage advice that you might offer to people to completely put you on the spot?
Yep. So first of all, thank you everyone. It's been a pleasure contributing to this community and engaging with you all. And I still remember those small steps that I started working on here. Like the first fix that I sent was that Slack notify on star workflow. It was a pretty small step, but that's how you start, and it slowly takes you places. So keep engaging and don't don't mind working on small things and starting on small things first.
That's awesome. That's great. If I have to add to that, actually, Rudraksh, I think that's a very there's a salient point. There's actually quite a few points to make, but to reinforce that, I'll say that Shreyas, who I think is the same Shreyas Jain that's on the call. Don't forget, everybody, to put your last names in Zoom if you can, just because. Well, I'm fortunate that there's only one Lee on the call at the moment. We'll see how long that lasts. But so Shreyas Jain, he just updated the Meshery roadmap. Kind of a big thing, actually. But it was a real small change. The thing about the smallness of the change is that, well, one, that he was successful because it was small. Actually, he was also successful in getting his sign off on his Git commit going, which can be a snag that people run into. For some, it can be forking the repo, keeping your local fork in sync, and like just all those mechanics of literally contributing in that way. Those can snag the smallest or the biggest of pull requests. So it's better when they snag the small ones first, so you can get a smooth process going. So, but yeah, just that whole mantra, that's just, I think, great advice from Rudraksh. As you go to engage in these projects or maybe anywhere else, the smaller you start, well, the more likely that you'll be successful. Like, because you just build up a pattern of success. So yeah, good. Yeah, nice. Also, one other thing I'll call out, just that Rudraksh continues to do really well. And it's helpful that we call it out for Michael, for Utkarsh, for there's a list of other maintainers on the call. There's, if you just look at the folks that are on the call, there are, by count, more contributors than there are maintainers. And so be kind to your maintainer. It takes folks a little while to review, especially if they're going to give feedback that might not be considered curt. They don't have much time. So if they're being brief, take it in stride, because they're just trying to make it around to respect everyone's contribution and give some feedback. If you can, please do as much homework as you can onto your own. The maintainers here and the other contributors here do a great job of espousing the culture of the community, which is helping others or paying it forward with others, and acknowledging that the things that we're trying to do here are fairly big, and there's no way in the world any one of us can do them unto their own, or even just 10 of us. Like, it takes a village, right? It takes a lot of people. And we're fortunate that there's 31 people on the call right now. And we've had 7 more people, if I recall, on the call. I anticipate that we'll actually have quite a bit more if we just get a couple of other things done. And that'll be fantastic. It'll also speak volumes to the level of organization that the community managers do, the amount of time that they put into preparing meetings like this, the structure for the shared folders, the way that people are onboarded. Hopefully everyone that's joined recently has gotten at least maybe a couple of emails, an email about being welcome to the community, an email about how to contribute to the projects. There's a lot of care and thought that's been done to trying to welcome and encourage others. I guess the point I was mostly making is, while it is a warm and welcoming community and you will be helped and you will be assisted, do everything that you can as either a newcomer or someone who's been here for a long time to, I'll put it somewhat directly, not be lazy. Try to do as much of your homework as you can and show that homework as well. It is, well, it's disheartening to try to assist folks who are, well, seem to be just hanging around for either a free education or sort of leeching off of others, or that's not right. Certainly everyone, I get to learn something new every day. I just saw him just taught me something new earlier. Thank goodness he's not on the call, so we don't get his ego any bigger than it is. But everybody is entitled to learn quite a bit, and hopefully everyone is at a very quick clip. Actually, the smarter that all of you are individually, the more fantastic things we will do together. So I certainly desire for everyone to be well equipped. I spend as much time as I can to equip others. But do your homework, please. Okay, that was it.
Okay, so now we have another exciting announcement that we have our 4 new interns. So the first one is Nitish Karthik. Then we have Barik Nurlis. Then we have Ashish Tiwari, and then Rudraksh Parikh. So these are our 4 new interns. So congratulations to all our new interns.
Yay. Yay. I have to say something here as well, and that is that each of the names that you see listed, they shouldn't be entirely, for anyone who's been around for more than a week, like you've probably bumped into those names. These names and these individuals have been in the community for some time. They have been learning themselves. They've also been, they've demonstrated that they also will share their knowledge. They've also demonstrated that they like being here and they're interested in the projects and that they're able to help. Actually, it's kind of a full stop after help, because help comes in all kinds of ways. Shayatan is hosting the call today, and thank goodness that someone organized this meeting. And it's not as well done. But the point is like help comes in all kinds of forms, and those gentlemen are, I think, pleased to be in their internships. Near as they've told me anyway. We'll see what happens after a couple of months. We'll see if they're still happy about it. But the point is, the reason that they were selected and asked to be an intern is because they were already here doing good things, helping others, contributing, engaging, learning. And so when people do that, all that we desire to do is support them in that. If they're being productive and they're being helpful, if they're being a good community member in that way, it takes a lot of forms. It's not about contributing code per se. That we just want to reinforce that, support that. So really what's happening today is, yes, an acknowledgement of the notion that these 4 gentlemen are entering into 3 months of indentured servitude maybe, but they're entering into these internships, but that it's also an acknowledgement of what they've already done. They've already done quite a bit. And hence it's more of a recognition of what they've been doing. So pretty cool. If you see them, say hi.
Okay, so congratulations to all the new interns. So now we have to move on to the topics. So starting off the first topic of the day. So we have Anita. Anita, you would like to give some update on this community handbook?
Yeah, sure. Okay, hey everyone. For the past 1 month, we've been trying to make an update to the previous handbook because it was not so organized and there was so much repetition in the words, in the sentences and everything. So we tried to like scan through that just to make sure it's good enough, it's a good fit to put on the website. And we tried to put it together in this new doc. So far so good. We've made a lot of reviews and suggestions and improvements, but I'm bringing it to the community now because I think this is like the final stage. So once the community or everyone here actually makes their own suggestion to what can be improved or what needs to be added, then we're going to move everything to the website officially. So I'm just bringing it to the floor. If you have suggestions, either based on the spellings or the grammatical arrangement, whatever your suggestion is towards this handbook, just go over it and drop it right there and we'll implement it, then put it on the website immediately.
Nice. So by the way, this is coming from Meshmate Anita. Some of you may be familiar with Meshmate's program. Some of you might be familiar with Anita. She's pretty active in the community, and actually impressively so, because she's doing a number of things. Anita, if you don't mind my sharing, you share as much as you want. But I understand you've been studying some Kubernetes recently.
Well, yeah. Fortunately, I've been trying to prepare myself for the Kubernetes certification examination. I think that's like one of the requirements to like take on for the new role that I just got in the matter. Yes, so I'm putting in all that I know, I guess. It's not been easy, but I'm trying my best.
Yeah, so I got to imagine that that's either potentially an exam that maybe some of the rest of the folks in the community have sat for, or probably much more likely that they haven't sat for, but have considered maybe studying for. I don't want to speak for Anita, but she might be having study hall, or she might be exchanging some notes. I don't know. It might be, if you've been studying towards that, or you've been digging into Kubernetes, I'm just tossing the idea out there that there might be a good study hall somewhere.
Yeah, actually, it turns out a lot of persons have shown interest in this particular certification, especially people who want to like dive into the Kubernetes ecosystem. It's a good addition to your resume, and also it's actually good to have a deeper understanding of Kubernetes generally. So if you want to like have a more deep understanding of what Kubernetes and Docker is all about, this is like a good start. You can meet me up in the Slack and I'll give you the resources that I'm going through. You don't have to take it immediately. You have an entire year to study for the examination. You have either 3 months. It all depends on how much time you want to devote for the examination. But just to have a deeper understanding of what Kubernetes is all about.
Nice. That's fantastic. The other thing that Anita was just saying about the community handbook, it's worth reiterating that all of you are, including myself, are part of the community. And the community, like any other, has norms and has hopefully some principles. I like to think that we do. But we also have different mechanics by which the community runs, and different resources that are available to people who join. And what does it mean to join? Like, there's actually a lot, like what are the projects, what technologies are used, and so on. Are there resources for learning something like Kubernetes or a service mesh? there's a whole ton. There's a ton. And what Anita has been corralling is gathering up that information into a central, easily referenceable location, into this handbook. So there's a Google Doc that she was just showing it, where all of you are welcome to, she was soliciting your input. She's saying, please come review the outline of topics to cover. And I think actually, yeah, this full doc, right? This doc has all of the actual content as well. It's not just the outline that you're showing, but the full. And so particularly anyone who's, whether you've been here for a long time or you just joined 10 minutes ago, you've got something to say here. Like, this is a really excellent document to review, comment on, turn on suggestion mode and like start suggesting away, fix a spelling error, what have you. There's a number of people who've been working on, a number of people actually have been working through this. And, but Anita is Meshmate Anita is wearing the captain's hat, so to speak, or leading the charge here. And so, or she's carrying the torch, maybe is the other way of thinking of it. But that goal of having this publicly published, it's in part, like it's in draft mode, publicly published at the URL in the Zoom chat. And it'll be, what a great set of info, what a very commonly referenced set of info that will be. So please think on it. Please give it a read through and add to it. Point out things that are potentially missing. See, non-code contributions right there.
So thank you, Anita. Thank you, Lee. For anything anyone else would like to add on this? Okay, so now next we move on to the next topic. So the next one is from Suryashankar. Suryashankar, you would like to give an update on Kubernetes cluster image for the labs?
Yeah, sure. So like after like just changing the image ID from Minikube to the pre-running cluster, like it wasn't directly working, but now like after some changes, when it's when everything's working fine, like when I try to open the UI, it's giving an unexpected error. Like that's the place where I'm right now. So everything is basically working, just like when I'm trying to start the UI, it's showing an unexpected error. Should I share my screen?
Just to add to that, I think that's a problem with Katacoda because it's happening with me as well. Not only with the Kubernetes, because the lab that I have written for Traefik mesh, I have written like locally, I have it starting with Minikube, and the one I have in my PR, it starts with a Kubernetes cluster. Both of them don't start with, like both of them, the Meshery server always keeps crashing. So it's a Katacoda issue. It's not with the image ID.
Oh, so like any idea like what to do?
No.
So good. Actually, we're looking at like 30 other brains who might be able to figure this out as well. Yeah, if you would share your screen, maybe give a little bit of a background as to what
Sure.
the heck you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. So when the lab starts, I change this shell script. Like due to some errors, I had to export this exact version. Otherwise, it was giving some like client version error and stuff. So after that, it's just simply working like kubectl get nodes and stuff. After running this, everything works fine. But when I go over here, one sec. Yeah, as you can see, like an unexpected error has occurred without anything else.
Wait, okay. Wait, I missed. Okay,
yeah,
in
actually,
the.
you're good.
No, please go ahead.
Yeah, actually, what you can do is you can open this thing is in another tab. That is, if you would see that maximize button on the left side.
Yeah.
Yep. If you would open it on another tab, now you can access console logs. So probably there might be some errors if you can open it up in actually in the same tab where we just opened.
Oh yeah.
In the browser tab. In the browser tab.
You mean the browser console?
Yeah.
Oh.
The operations in C. Can you expand DOM exceptions?
Like, should I scroll down?
No, it's too cryptic to understand.
Yeah. And like, I also saw some stuff over here. Yeah, it's like this message: unable to create a mesh client, unable to ping the Meshery adapter. Like, could this be the cause?
Yeah, actually, I mean, this is an issue, but this shouldn't crash the UI.
Okay.
I mean, this won't crash the UI.
Like anything else that I can check?
Yeah, did you try it in any other browser? Could it be that? Could it be a Firefox specific issue?
Like the other browser I have right now is Brave, and the labs never work in it.
Yeah, same with Chrome. It doesn't work on Chrome either. So it's not a browser specific issue.
Like these are the only like failed requests. Which are not very helpful, I guess. So like anything else that I can try?
It doesn't looks like a Meshery issue.
Or like, could it be a kubectl version issue? Like, I know that this image is using a really old, comparatively old version than what's used in the current labs with the Minikube ones.
Yep, that may cause some issues, but that won't also crash the UI. I'm pretty positive this is something related to the browser. I'll actually, if you, I think we can create an issue and maybe take it up.
Like, if you want, like, I can also send the link and you can try it in your browser right now.
Yeah, that can work.
Okay, great. Sounds like you guys are done. So as a reminder, always good to give context for everyone else as to what we're chatting on. So there's context in the Zoom chat about how you all can learn to service mesh using those labs and how each of you can contribute to the labs. There's an open request for a couple of new labs. And Suhani is on the call, Miss Agarwal, who has politely and persistently introduced people to the efforts here. She's on point, if you will, for trying to track these down. So she's got a couple of outstanding requests for new labs. And then I think, like this issue probably, and maybe a couple of others. So engage there, a great way to learn and contribute at the same time.
So thank you, Lee. Thank you, Utkarsh and Suryashankar. If anyone would like to add anything to this. No, I guess. So let's move on to the next topic. So it's by Aditya. So the Traefik mesh lab, he has made a PR. So Aditya, you would like to talk on that?
Yeah, I'll just share my screen. So I
Sure.
was having the same problem as Suryashankar, but it's just a little different. So what I have done is uh, basically to get the Kubernetes cluster, you need to run this command, and then it shows that Kubernetes is started. And then if you get the nodes, it takes some time, but it's ready. And after that, you do this, but again, the UI crashes. So we'll have to figure that out. Everything else seems to be fine. So I because I have been trying to do this for some time now, for like I've been trying to figure it out for a day or two, but I don't understand what's going wrong. So I just blamed it on Katagoda. So it's probably a Katagoda issue, but I'm not sure.
Okay, so yep. So thanks, Aditya, for the update. Next, we would like to move on to the next topic. That's by Rahul. So I think a review is required on his Mesheryctl blog post. So Rahul, if you want to talk on this or give an update on this topic.
Yeah, hello everyone. Let me just share my screen for a second.
Sure.
So as you can see here, we have our blog, the general blog for Mesheryctl. The content's nice, so I can vouch for that. But we need a few people to review it just to check and make sure that it's good to go and like get posted on the website. And I did get a few reviews, like to add some pictures here and there to make it more enjoyable to read. But other than that, I think the content is good to go. So if there's anyone willing to read and give a good review on this, they're most welcome. The links on the meeting minutes, I guess, and also on the kitchen blog kitchen in Slack. So I hope some people read through this and give me a good review. If you don't mind, there's also another thing that I wanted to ask about. We were talking about enhancement of getting started section. If I remember properly, the last meeting. Am I right?
Yep,
Am I audible?
Yeah, we were talking about that.
Yeah. So I just wanted to know if there was an issue open for it.
I think Lee
This
needs
was
to close the issue, right? To update the commands.
If there's an issue open to refresh the commands in the Meshery docs?
Not in the docs, in the getting started of Meshery.
The getting started section.
Oh yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of work that's been. Yep. There's a couple of folks that are both doing that on Meshery.io and on Layer5.io. But it's good to follow up to make sure that it's accurate, because it's embarrassing when it's not, when the documentation doesn't reflect reality, which is actually something we were kind of talking about on the call, on the Meshery development call on Wednesday, is the notion that there's a balance between nicely curating, hand curating documentation and describing behavior of software. It's really helpful in documentation. It's something that people can't glean from the UI or from looking at the help text on the CLI is when the documentation actually tells you what's going to happen behind the scenes. That's really helpful. And that's something that us humans have to go write docs for. But there's something that we can ask the robots to do, the machines to do, and that is to auto-generate some portion of the documentation. The portion that we can ask the machines to do is, like in context of Mesheryctl, it's like, well, those commands are in the code. The code has, we can use Go. We can use a couple of different mechanisms to help auto-publish what the series of commands are and what flags are literally in the code. And so there's some amount of rework that's going on in Meshery docs now. There's a reference guide to Mesheryctl, and there's some rework that's going on. So there's the other Aditya, the Aditya, is kind of working through that, and he's quite engaging. He's quite collaborative. So yeah, hopefully that answers the question.
Thank you for that. Yeah, so I guess that's it. So the blog's content is up and anyone's welcome to review it. And we can get it posted on the website.
Yeah, Rahul, real quick, just some feedback from what I just saw briefly, and that is that if it's an overview of the commands, are you covering all, is it 4 or 5 top level commands? There's the system command, mesh, perf, what's the other one? Or you're mostly focusing on system, and that's fine. And if you're focusing primarily on context as well, that's awesome. I might suggest a change in title to be something like commanding, because you're working with the commands like commanding Meshery deployments. If you're really going to focus on context, because context describes Meshery deployments. And so this is awesome. Like go deep, go long and go deep on just the context command. There's a fair bit to do there. What's lesser important is regurgitate. I'm assuming that this is in part maybe a regurgitation of what you'll find in the documentation, which is not bad, but really what's insightful and helpful is describing the behaviors. Like when is it that you would use the context view switch? And like it would be good to, and I think you're calling it out, but it says to switch, I'm pointing to like the last paragraph, to switch the current context passively, use view switch. Cool. What does passively mean? And I call it out, you don't have to answer it, it's kind of a rhetorical question. It is like, that's actually really important because people can screw up their systems if they, not knowing that one of these commands may like totally delete their current deployment and redo a different deployment and stuff. So it's an interesting thing. I think if you're going to explain context, so by the way, Rahul, this is great. Like the feedback that I'm giving is just hopefully to uplift what you're doing and enforce it or reinforce it. One thing you might want to do is, like, you don't have to fully describe it, but it would be good to highlight the notion that there's 2 release channels. Because part of configuring your context, it's really like you're configuring your Meshery deployment. Maybe you want all the adapters. Maybe you want to run from the stable release channel or from the edge release channel.
I get it. So
Yeah.
I'll get into it.
Cool.
Thank you.
Right, this is awesome. It's great.
Thanks a lot.
And by the way, Rahul, just for everyone, or like, Rahul, how long have you been in the community? Like,
I joined last week.
yeah, I know. Look at that. You already got a blog post in draft. I mean, like, that's fantastic. That's like great context for everyone to understand as well. So you didn't waste a moment. That's fantastic. Speaking of, so Shaitan, I don't know if speaking of blog posts, I don't know if is Ishita. Oh yeah, Ishita is up next. Cool.
So thank you, Lee. Thank you, Rahul, for the update. So next we are moving to the next topics. That's by Ishita. So Ishita, would you like to give some update on your beta batch feature?
Hi everyone. So I am sharing my screen.
Yeah, sure.
Can you see this?
Yeah, I think.
Am I audible? Hello?
Not really. Yeah, not really. But,
No one answering. Am I audible?
cool. So Ishita, let me assist if I can and do the sharing. I think it's causing your bandwidth to drop so much that we can't hear you. And so maybe I'll share here and you can speak to it. Yeah. So yeah, Ishita, if you can, go ahead. Cool. Okay. So, Ishita, I'm going to do my best to speak to this just because we actually can't hear you. Your voice isn't coming through at all. And so, not a big deal. Let me speak to this briefly and talk about the nice work that Ishita's been doing. So two things briefly. So Ishita, in Meshery, which is our largest project, we have other projects in the community, but this is our biggest. So Ishita, do you want to try to explain it one more time?
Okay, so am I audible?
Sure.
Hello?
Yep, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Can you?
Yeah, mostly.
Okay, so there was an issue about add a feature of beta batch, and I tried to make it, and firstly I gave a blue color and then changed the color to the white, and I hope I am audible to all.
Yep, you are.
Can anyone confirm it?
Yeah, you were
You're
audible.
audible. You're audible.
Yeah, you're audible.
Okay. So then I gave a white color, and after discussing about which color should we give to that beta batch, and then like YouTube Shorts. Can you share that, Lee, in PR?
Oh, you bet.
It is registered on PR. Yeah, like that. So then we were discussing about should we add beta like this or before that. So can we discuss about it today so I can work on this?
Anybody have an opinion?
Actually, this one is looking good. So I think we should work on this one.
Anyone have a dissenting opinion?
Maybe if we can change the color of the format is nice, but then the color of the beta, of the word itself, should be probably something else.
Well, both of you guys took the words out of my mouth, or at least of my opinion. That like, hey, yeah, that looks pretty good. Like it's not, it's not uncommon to see something like that. And that, yeah, especially if you offset it with a color, I'm not, you know, with with some color, like somewhere between orangish and yellowish, maybe. I think we've all been trained throughout our lives that green is good, red is bad. Somewhere orange to yellow is warning, and sort of be careful or use at your own risk or be cautious, or like even a small warning sign or something. But yeah, so great feedback, I think, from Anshuman and Sikranda. Ishita, you might have your answer. Might be cool.
Yeah,
Okay, very good.
we can. Okay, so and other one was that I wrote a blog on how to make your first contribution to Layer5. So it was in review. So can anyone suggest me something?
Yeah.
What should be changed here?
Immediately, if you don't mind, can you move this into the community drive so that others can have access to comment and you know, give feedback directly?
Yeah, I will edit there.
Good. In the community drive, there's a folder called Community Posts. This is a great place to land to move that Google Doc. So this is nice, actually. There's a bunch of examples on today's call where anyone and everyone can have an opinion, because this is again like how to get started. So sweet. Okay, and I'm kind of rushing just because we're running out of time. Ishita, thanks for this. Thanks for both of these.
Thank you, Lee.
Yeah. Nice. Ooh, Rust. Yeah. All right. Back to you, Shaitan.
So thank you, Ishita. Thank you, Lee, for the update, and Anshuman for you, Anshuman, and I forgot the other names for your reviews. So thank you. So next we are moving on to the next topic. So Zain or Meghana, if you would like to give an update on this V 0.6.0 release announcements.
Yeah, so about that, we actually need more inputs on that than the update. Zain, do you want to add anything particular?
Yeah, we've got the features which can everybody hear me by the way? Hello?
Yeah, we
am I
can.
on?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay.
Yes.
So we have the features here in the document. Should I share it or send them? Can you do it? So the features here, we'll need more resources like Meghana said, to have getting started with documenting them. So the features are already available. So maybe if some more resources, we can start right away with that.
Awesome. So it was just this last Wednesday in Meshery's development call, we were noting, well, it's about time. We're kind of coming up on release time for our .6 release. The .5 release was a whopper. Like, I don't know, like a bunch of architectural components added, lots of good stuff. The .6 release is chalking up to much of the same, like entirely new concepts and constructs, applications, filters, patterns, like the emergence of these three constructs, quite significant. So Meghana and Zain are trying to get us organized to, in advance of making their release, they're trying to get us organized so that we can have a release announcement blog and maybe a collection of blogs. Because there's, if you think about it, there's sort of the announcement that goes out that maybe highlights the big meaty chunky new features that have come out, the super sexy eye candy stuff that entices everyone to come and try out this stuff, the things that you all have made. But if you want to explain just this one concept, filters or just patterns, like, well, gosh, that's a whole blog post unto its own if you really want to explain it. And so what's trying to be organized here is capture is probably like capturing the topics that should be covered, like what all did we contribute in this release. And so there's a milestone, in GitHub, we sometimes are good about marking a given issue as belonging to a milestone being a release, this release. So, oh, wow, wait a second. When did this? Oh, okay. Boy, for a second, I thought that this was like merged back in February and it's just now, and we're just now making a release. Okay, anyway, point is, this is using that hyperlink is one way of, and by the way, everybody on the call, can everyone do me a favor just to show that you're even listening and engaged? Can you click on the link in Zoom, the Zoom chat, or click on the link in the Layer5 community meeting here? And I can see all of your little cursors if you're doing it or not. So quick test, see who all is awake. Point is just to like make sure that everyone should be able to access these docs. Like these are your docs as much as anyone else. This is your work. Come and represent it well. There's a lot that's gone into this minor release. We are shoving a lot into these minor releases because we got a lot to get done before we get to a 1.0. And there's a ton of things to talk about. There's like any number of, whether it's a blog post or a short video recording or a static screenshot or an animated GIF, like the beta label, Ishita, there it is. Like some people might say adding that label is a small contribution. Well, guess what? It actually has a major effect. It's something we have to go talk about. Well, what do you mean beta? Like, well, what should I expect from this? Is this going to work, or is it going to stay the same during the next release? Like, there's actually kind of a lot to explain, and probably a screenshot to include in the release somewhere that, like, now there are beta features, and like, oh, we should probably clarify and classify these as beta features. What's kind of nice about using that subscript or the superscript is that actually we can have superscript in our writing, superscript with the word beta and the orange or yellow color that we're choosing or whatever it is. So I hope that all of you that are on the call really get the sense that if you're on the call and you're spending time here, like, make the best of it. Come and get involved and make your mark, because you're encouraged to. And we'll be talking about this release at KubeCon for sure, because KubeCon isn't until October 11th through 15th, somewhere in there. And if we haven't made this release by then, we're probably in trouble. And I'm sure that we will. This is just so anyway, there's a couple of, if you're all wondering and thinking like, well, I don't know what went into the release, like, use these two links, go look up what was in there. Or check this out, go give Rahul the right feedback that he's looking for, and do this, do Mesheryctl system context, because Rahul is telling us how to do this. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's wrong. It's actually system channel, but channel augments and mutates your context. Channel set stable. There. You want to know what's in the v050 release? Paste that into your terminal. And then after that, paste. And you will be able to compare and contrast what we've got now to what we had then. That's another way of doing it. So anyway, point is, thank you, Meghna and Zane, for stepping up to help organize this. You'll need as much help as you can get as you go to kind of, so I think Meghna and Zane, ideally the first goals here are doing exactly what you're doing, which is kind of highlighting the big ticket items, soliciting volunteers from like, ideally, not that this isn't meant to be exclusive at all, but ideally there might be a maintainer's name against one or each of these items, if only to make sure that they're doing a review, not that they necessarily have to write it, but just because they will have, they'll be able to help quantify it. So cool. So for my part, I'll spend a little bit of time, adding a couple of topics and maybe making some suggestions about names and things. But yeah, anybody else have comments on this or questions about? So there was a link in here, I thought in here somewhere. If not, Zane and Meghna, can you guys add a link to the other blog post that was done for the 5.0 release? That way people can see have an idea as to what it looks like. Cool.
Okay, so thank you, Lee. Thank you, Meghna. Thank you, Zain, for the review. And we are asking for volunteers to help over here. So next, we are moving on to Rudraksh. So Rudraksh, you want to speak about this topic on bundling seeds, content, and build time?
Yep. So I'll quickly steal your screen. Assuming it's visible. So this is about the spec that we had a while ago, bundling sample filters and applications and patterns in Meshery so that Meshery can act as a content repository, and we can have some content that people can try when they run Meshery for the first time, so they are not clueless about it. This is right now implementation of this user story. It would be bundling seed content when Meshery server builds so that when we ship it, they have it available. And this is some update on this. We are fetching the binaries of awesome filters. Right now, we're fetching it from my own fork where I have released them. And probably later on, we'll release them on our main repo, and then we can pull them off and pack them. So nothing much happening. This is for patterns, pulling them from the service mesh patterns repo and putting them in. Okay, this is anyways. The one concern that I have about filters though is that there have been issues through time that filters are not compatible with a particular version of the data plane proxy. Now I'm not sure if it is something with the proxy wasm SDK, so incompatibility due to filter or incompatibility due to the filter configuration. So we'll probably need to take a look at that first so that we can deliver usable filters before releasing binaries on the main repo. Does anyone have thoughts on that? Like what might be happening? Is it something with the Envoy proxy configuration or the filters themselves?
Rudraksh, I missed the specific. You're saying that while we can seed Envoy filters as initial content inside of a Meshery release, that as someone goes to actually use the filter and apply it to their infrastructure, that yeah, that's a whole separate concern. I guess like the job is done, at least in context of seeding content. Those are two different concerns. Not that we don't want to make sure that this works. I just.
Okay. So
I don't know if that helped. I didn't hear all of what you necessarily said. So.
Yeah, it's probably a concern in the future when we have filters and all the stuff sorted out. So, okay.
But that maybe was part of what you were asking was that there'll be a binary plus there might be a string or a configuration to accompany that. Is that what you were saying?
So basically right now the filters that we have in Wasm filters are vanilla Envoy filters. So they would run on Envoy, and this is the Envoy configuration. We can just copy it from here and paste it in probably STO Envoy filter CRD and it would work. But the thing that we need to think about is versions. So across versions, these filters might not work. As was the case here, this filter was not working due to the STO proxy version being 1.5.0. However, switching to 1.6.0 fixed it. So concerns like this was what I was trying to talk about. But
gotcha. Yeah, no, okay. Yeah, good deal. I listened this time. Sorry. Yeah, that is a separate concern from the two concerns that I raised. This one, like to your point, it might be it's like there's like two things. One is whether you're dealing with a filter, a pattern, or an application. Each of those three things are content. Like to Meshery, right? Meshery can deal with any of those three types of content. And the content itself, like if you make a change to the filter to have it behave differently, well, that filter might have its own version. So every piece of content may have its own version. Okay, that's one consideration. The second consideration that you're highlighting is beyond that, to use a filter as an example, this filter may only work in certain service mesh environments, only on Envoy, only on a version, this version. And so, yep, those are good considerations to begin to document. And those are highly related, but are just a step removed from seeding content and doing the initial registration. I mean, like actually part of the initial registration, if there's a version to capture here, then like you're right, like it's still the same concern. Yeah, but as you think about this in context of a filter, please do also try to think about it in context of just generic content, right? Like when you're dealing with a pattern, I wrote this pattern and it works on that version of that service mesh, but not on that version of that service mesh. So, okay. So we have kind of a generic challenge.
Yep.
Nice.
So
so universally we may want to incorporate a manifest with any given piece of content. That the manifest may highlight prerequisite like service meshes that it works with, or prerequisite versions of infrastructure that it will only work on and requires. Also, the manifest could capture the version number of the artifact itself. And potentially if the content itself is contains more than one artifact, not just a YAML file or not just a binary, but multiple files, the manifest could also be, capture the index of like what's inside there. So at some point, when you really get into like content management in this way, what you end up doing is like if Michael has written a nice pattern and he wants to export that, distribute it, share it. Well, there's a number of things that he might be concerned with. He might want to guarantee that it works for people. So it's in part what you were just saying about prerequisites and having the right infrastructure. It's also the case that like, well, who authored this thing in the first place? It might be nice for him to be able to capture the fact that he had authored it, that he versioned it starting, that he versioned the pattern at V1. Other people have mutated, or he added a separate concern. He is himself, he has versioned it. And so what was the history of that? Also, maybe he's saying in this pattern, anyone can, these are customizable areas of the pattern that anyone is welcome to customize and manipulate. But if you want to subscribe to Michael's pattern and he goes to make another release, if you've changed this area of the YAML, well, then you're in the line of fire because he may well overwrite that. So are there areas, so like there becomes a lot of those types of concerns. So you just opened up a can of worms, my friend. No, but that doesn't mean that we can't, simply address a couple of things you're highlighting. It's really good.
Okay.
Thanks for this. Shaitan, I think people are dropping like flies.
Yeah, so actually we are on the top of the hour. So Nikhil, you would like to talk on this? Or
yes, sure.
Yeah, maybe. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
I quickly share my screen.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so I hope it is visible.
Yeah, it's visible. Yeah.
Okay, so I have been making some changes in the Meshery UI. So I will quickly go through these changes and then you all can give your thoughts on the changes. Okay. So the first changes I've made is into this menu drawer. For now we have charcoal black. So I thought maybe giving it a linear gradient with brand colors might be a better idea. So this is the first change I have made. Second is that we can give a better content flow to the user. Like if we are going into sub menus of these menus, parent menus, then giving these kind of content flow might be a better idea because user can better track like in which section he's right now. And the last one is that we currently have too many overlays cards and that might not be a better behavior. So I try to eliminate it as much as possible. So these are the three main changes I make. Yeah.
Cool. What do people think?
Any ideas or any reviews or thoughts you all can give? Like any areas we can still improve or?
There's a couple, I don't know, just some quick, some things for me if I can, which is the Keppel green, I think the green that's being used in the drawer
yes.
is pretty. I think it's pretty. At this point, I've been looking at it for a couple of years, and so I can't help but think it's pretty. That said, it's also quite attention grabbing, which is useful, especially for things like buttons, something you might want someone to click. There's a large section of the screen in that drawer that, at least in this mock-up, and this is just a mock-up, but is not clickable. And so it's like, it's kind of screaming for your attention, but isn't necessarily so there's something to think about is like, maybe the buttons should be bright green. And ultimately, like part of the right answer here, the correct answer is let the users decide, give them a few predefined themes, let them switch between them, and then ultimately let them customize it as well. Is it worth us spending our time to customize, to allow them to customize? Probably not. Probably there's more important things for us to go do, like right now anyway. That doesn't mean that bringing in a theme and switching between themes, like that's probably something we should get to. And it could be that one of the themes is just like this. one of the things that you've done, I think you've done a good job of flattening the cards or taking off, like we've gotten kind of deep on some of the cards. You've softened up the cards that are here, at least from what I can tell. It's a bit fuzzy on in the sharing, but what's nice, it's elegant. It gives you a sense that you're interacting with a high quality piece of software. One thing, and that's absolutely desired, right? Absolutely. I don't just, we do want to make sure that people also get the sense that they're interacting with a rich interactive application and not a sexy website. And I don't know that this crosses that boundary. I'm just highlighting it as the more slick and pretty something is, well, you often see that on marketing websites, like you often, and so in here, the people who are running Meshery to run their infrastructure, it's a pretty serious thing. Like if Meshery messes up, like they could mess up, they could be in trouble. Meshery can be their best friend because it's making them look really good, or it could get them in hot soup. And so anyway, like just the mental, by the way, is that like a slight purple or pink in the background or is it just discoloration coming through?
Oh, this one? Like
yeah.
No, it's just another color, I think.
Okay.
Maybe this one, I guess.
Okay. Huh. Okay. Yeah, I think it comes through the Zoom share a little bit weird. Yeah. So good. So the link to everyone that's here has access to the Figma design files. So if anyone has other feedback for Nikhil Sharma, please give it. I think Nikhil, we should, for my part, there's something here at minimally that the cookie crumb trail that you have in the top. Well, that's nice. It lets the user know where they are. Maybe exposing that as a sliver, like a sub menu, still telling them they're on applications big and bold, but then as a sub menu item, a secondary bar, giving them a cookie crumb that's navigatable. Might be the right thing to do. There's definitely some stuff we should take here, Nikhil. If for nothing else, please also put up a PR that has this in there, and that way people can try it out locally and really get a stronger sense of how they like it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's
Thank you all
from my side.
So, yeah, thank you, Nikhil. Thank you, Lee, for those changes in the UI. So I think we are done off with all the agendas for today. So thank you all for joining the call. Bye.
Thank you, Shaitan. Wow. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.